Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Monday, August 4th, 2025. My Cordaro Jeweler's watch tells me it's 9:13 on the nose. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he. Broadcasting today from the United States of America. I can prove it because we have a administration in place that loves the country, loves Americans. It's also the place for the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to John Basiliga and his incredible family of companies, like Robert Doherty of Dunmore, Leonard Farber of Hunlock Creek, Joseph Boland of Pittston, Elmer Spike Hanachak of Sturgis, Donald Schilling of Scranton, and Kevin Hess of Berwick, the United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our amazing, incredible, indispensable founding fathers, that the government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our salvation, our direction, not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America. It is the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. It was not something that could be parceled out to groups. And government officials certainly could not control your freedom, because our great American Constitution ensured and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. That's how we're supposed to find out that Barack and the gang cooked the books and tried to undermine, not only defeat Donald Trump, but undermine his presidency. Fascinating, isn't it? But with an only tiny piece of working press, the others are lying, and they'll continue to do so. But we know better, don't we? Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show, well, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you, because of our commitment to common sense and that which makes sense, promising a sanctuary of sanity in a world where it's a minority, but it's an awfully loud minority, has lost their minds. They really have. My word. So I hope everybody had a great weekend. Cutie and I certainly did. I'm trying to remember what. I was trying to think of the other day. I know I did something on Friday, but I don't remember. Isn't that funny? Oh, Friday I went to Jazz. I went to see Marco Marcinko. We stopped by Terra, which was a great headquarters for Jazz Weekend in downtown Scranton. Man, the whole city was alive. It was fabulous. And we were there. We had a little taste of something, a couple of cocktails. We walked down the street, and there's a new restaurant in it's an Italian restaurant, modern, not my style, but Cutie loved it. We didn't eat there, but we just went and saw it, and then went back later for a glass of wine. But it's in the alley near the Hilton Hotel, which is where we were headed to go see Marco Marcinko and some great jazz music. And, but I mean, hopping. The downtown, there was people all over the place. It was really fabulous. And then, of course, the jazz was great. And we've had this, I don't know, probably a couple were missing. And obviously, one of the most notable missing, we used to see Jimmy Connors there, our former mayor and a great music enthusiast, and one of the people who helped facilitate the beginning of the Jazz Festival, 20 years this year. And, he was missing, obviously, dearly missed. But then our former mayor, Wayne Evans, was there, and a lot of great people. I ran into a couple of great veterans who we get to see every year. And, it was just truly enjoyable. And I insisted to the two of them, we are going to have a veterans tribute to the two of you. So I've got his card. My buddy, Stutz, he had the Stutz clothing shop in downtown Alpha when I started AM 750 way back when, 87. So we were reminiscing on that, but then that we get to see them every year. Again, it's like a reunion. It's just such a pleasure. The only thing I would say is like the Hilton. All right. Now, and I'm not saying this is easy. It's hard to find people to work. But especially on such a busy weekend. But it seems like every year they're surprised that there's hundreds of people there, drinking like tomorrow never comes. And they're just not quite ready for the crowd. I don't know why that is, but every year they seem to be surprised. The place was jammed. The music was great. And, it's not so bad if you have to wait for a drink. It's not a big deal. But a great pleasure. Friday night was. And then we went back. I told you a glass of wine. And I can't remember the name of the place. It's in the alley. It's in the Casey Laundry Building. For those of you who know Scranton. It was a coffee house. It was a few other things. Now it's a two-story restaurant with a lot of outdoor seating, which was great. I got to remember that for future because then I could have a cigar there. And then Saturday night, we went with our friends Billy and Lisa to the incredible Stegmeyer Mansion. I can't describe how much I love that place. And then we came back to town, our town. But I'm telling you, it was perfection, the Stegmeyer Mansion. The food was awesome. The atmosphere you can't top for an old-fashioned person like myself. And then we came back to Scranton, and we stopped at a Terra again. And a great time with a great gang. Went down, just saw what was happening. The nightclub was jammed, Sergei's. I'm telling you, if you're younger, it is the place to be. Fabulous. All weekend. And so, that was happening. And then yesterday, you know what? I had too much weekend, and I didn't leave the house. I wanted to go up to the Bucktown Music Festival, but I was like, I'm thinking, I'm exhausted. And I know I will get wound up seeing the friends I'm going to see. And then even though I'm exhausted today anyway, which, by the way, we took Chauncey, Cutie took Chauncey, and had a sort of a play date at her sister's house with this their dog Ivy, and they played solid 3 hours apparently. And now Chauncey, I don't know, he's shot. I'm hoping it's from that and he's not sick, He's only 7 months old or even less. But in any event, great weekend, but it's always a pleasure to be back with you. We're going to have John Perillo, Monday Musings, and more, as always. But I wanted to start off with this incredible scandal from the Obama administration. Using the intelligence agencies the way they did to both undermine the candidacy of Donald Trump and the presidency of Donald Trump. Nothing like this has happened. Nothing on the scale of this has happened since Nixon. Trying to use the intelligence agencies, unsuccessfully, I might add, to cover up for the third-rate burglary in the Watergate Hotel. But this is by far worse. By far worse. And guys like Comey, Brennan, Clapper, they should go to jail. Not a doubt in my mind. McCabe, Strzok, yeah. It's beyond a disgrace what they did. Manipulated intelligence, drove a narrative that was false and that they knew was false, hoping against hope to investigate the Trump administration and the officials who were incoming at the time, late 2016, early 2017. It's really incredible. And then people like Hillary still lying about it on shows like The View long after the election when she knew. She got her ass whooped by Trump because she's an unlikable hag. And people had enough of the same people. And Trump had a very solid presidency, and then that's why he's ready and doing such a great job now. Because he found out about all of this undermining that was taking place by the establishment, by the Democrats. Some illegal, all unethical. And they'll lie about all of it. They will. But that's okay. We know now, and we're going to keep pounding it. All right. Time for a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Let's hear from our great sponsors. A little history, a little music, and then you at 570-883-0098. The great Sam Elliott reading that letter from a World War II veteran. And our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, and his great family of companies. Doesn't matter. Serenity Care, the gold standard of senior care in Northeast Pennsylvania. Eastern Roofing Systems, commercial, institutional, and guess what? Residential roofing systems. Right here in Northeast Pennsylvania and throughout the Eastern Seaboard. J. Bass Realty, top shelf apartments, top shelf office space. Focused in Lackawanna County, coming to Luzerne. And of course, Basiliga Hospitality, which I had the pleasure of visiting between Atera and Terra 519, Sergey's, and the incredible Stegmeyer Mansion. Robert Doherty. He was from Dunmore. Born in 1944 in Scranton. Graduate of South Catholic High School. He attended the University of Scranton. His family says Bob lived a full life. He proudly served in the Army Reserves and was a devoted member of the great Teamsters Union. I knew Bob. His quick wit, sharp sense of humor, and loyal friendship left a lasting impression on everyone who knew him. He's survived by his beloved wife, the former Jean Moran, and their 3 sons. Bob was a loving and proud grandfather. Preceded in death by 2 brothers. Family was everything to Bob Doherty. Leonard Farber, Hunlock Creek. He was 88 when he passed, July 26th. Born in Wilkes-Barre, graduated from Garrison High School in Shikshini. He then served us in the United States Navy during the Korean War, stationed aboard the USS Fort Snelling, LSD-30. There he trained in metalsmithing and welding. Leonard was a man of great dedication and resilience. And after his military career, he purchased a working dairy farm and later returned to welding, contributing to the construction of bridges, hospitals, and power plants across Pennsylvania as a member of several unions. He's survived by his devoted and loving wife of 61 years, Josephine Margaret, his children, grandchildren, and many other family members. Leonard was deeply involved in his community and his church, a lifelong member of the Boy Scouts of America, where he earned the highest award in scouting, the Silver Beaver Award in 2004, active member of Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church, Lake Silkworth, and a member of the American Legion. Leonard Farber. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and his great family of companies. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from our man, meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, sunny with some haze, low humidity, high 85, 68 outside the studios as I speak. Tonight, clear, low 58. Tomorrow, some sun and clouds, 87. Wednesday, sun and more clouds, 85. Thursday, spotty showers, 83. And that's as far as Joe takes us, at least for today. The Everly Brothers. Murph tells us this date, 1957, they appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show and performed their hit, Wake Up Little Susie. Bob Cordaro back with you on the eponymous program. And we are blessed to be joined by an old friend we talked to a lot last year, Maria Batista. She is running for statewide judge, Superior Court, and she's with us now. Maria, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
I always will. I think you're fabulous. This, whatever the wave was that sunk our judicial candidates on the Republican side last year, we think it's over. And that's why we're happy. I'm happy you're running again. And you had to fight for the nomination, which maybe makes it even more sweet, you know?
You know, I feel more like it's a blessing. I think the people have, they spoke loud and clear. We raised less than $20,000 in the primary, and my opponent had over $430,000 between in-kind contributions. And the people came out, and we won 55 of 67 counties in the primary, and I'm working hard to earn the trust of the people in this Commonwealth so that we can have a victory in November, not for me, but for the people, to have another judge on this court who's going to uphold the law and the Constitution and make sure everyone, regardless of who they are, doesn't matter what their party affiliation is or even if they're not registered, that they get a fair opportunity to be heard if their case goes up on appeal to the Superior Court.
Amen. Maria, let's go through your background quickly for the audience, and we're reintroducing yourself as the Republican nominee for Superior Court. Tell us about yourself.
Yes, so I started practicing law in 1993, over 30 years ago. Initially, I had a civil practice of law, and let me first state this. The Superior Court hears all criminal appeals from your Court of Common Pleas in your county and every other county in the Commonwealth, and most civil cases. People are most familiar with, family matters with children, like child custody, adoption, divorce, but your property rights, wills and estates, contracts, business matters, personal injury, and so much more. So my civil practice was those types of cases. They were the real estate, the oil and gas matters, the family law, child custody, the adoption. I also did business matters. I did contracts, personal injury, all of those types of cases, if they would be appealed from your Court of Common Pleas because someone believes that the judge committed an error, are the types of cases that I did early in my career. It was later that I became a prosecutor, and so I was doing criminal cases, and I represented the Commonwealth. And certainly we had victims in each of those cases that we had to address their rights as well. And so about 60% of the cases that go to the Superior Court are criminal in nature. And I was a prosecutor in 2 counties. And then I also had the opportunity to serve under Governor Corbett and then into the next administration for a short period of time, and I was an attorney in the Department of Health and State. When I was in state, I also was a hearing examiner. Why is that important? I'm not a sitting judge in a Court of Common Pleas, and most of the judges that are on the Superior Court were not sitting judges in a Court of Common Pleas before they were elected by the people to serve on that court. But I issued hundreds of decisions, and the skills that I used as a hearing examiner, and I heard cases from the majority, not all, but the majority of state government agencies, including those from the Department of State, Department of Corrections, Department of Health, Department of Education, Board of Probation and Parole, and so many others, are the things that you need as a judge on the Superior Court. You have to have great analytical skills, writing skills, be able to analyze the evidence and the record that comes up on appeal, and I have that experience. So I have a very broad background. The other thing that I have that is very unique, not required, by the way, but very unique, is I have 5 degrees. 3 of those are in education. So in addition to my law degree, I have 2 bachelors. One is in elementary education. I have a master's in education, and I have a doctorate in education. Why is that helpful? Well, the second largest body of law that goes to the Superior Court are those involving families and children. And you're trying to determine in those child custody cases what's in the best interest of the child. And if there's a claim, from the one of the parties saying that the court committed error, what's in the best interest of the child. You're reevaluating whether, in fact, there was an abuse of discretion by the judge below. Well, I taught in a K through 12 setting. I understand the issues dealing with children and those with special needs, including those with autism. And so I have another lens or worldview, if you will, that I can bring to that court to also train other judges, not only on the Superior Court, but our Court of Common Pleas. One of our Chief Justices, not the most recent one, but one of our prior Chief Justices, started something called autism in the court because of the increase in autism since the 90s. Because the judges did not know in the Court of Common Pleas level how to address these types of children and are not equipped with the type of training necessary to try to understand these children and to determine that best interest of the child. So they started these roundtables. Well, I have that experience as well, and I can be one of those assets as a judge on the Superior Court and also helping judges in the Court of Common Pleas in all 67 counties if the need arises or when those roundtables occur. So I have that additional benefit that I can bring to the court. I also bring geographic diversity. Right now, there's no sitting judge of the 15-judge panel. There's one vacancy right now from a judge in a rural county. I come from Clarion County. It's a very rural county, but I've practiced law across the Commonwealth. The last judge that we had from a very rural county was Sally Mundy in Tioga County. She is now one of our Supreme Court justices. So I also bring geographic diversity to the court should the people believe me or believe in my candidacy and elect me on November 4th.
Well, you made your case really well there, Maria Batista. I love it. Hey, just quickly, what's sort of your attack plan? You've done this before. You've run statewide before. What are you trying to accomplish on the campaign trail from now through November?
To try to reach as many voters as I can. In 23, it was a much different type of race than it is now. The people have really paid attention to the courts, more at the federal level than in the state level, but they want to learn more.
Matters just as much here in the state of Pennsylvania. Matters just as much. Yep.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And, when you talk about the redistricting or the lockdowns and during COVID, some of those decisions were made by our Supreme Court in Pennsylvania. And so it's important that people get to know the judges as much as they can. The best comment or compliment that I got in the last couple weeks was from a young man. He was probably in his 20s. I was in Lycoming County at an event, and he said to me, "You seem real, that you're approachable." And, we are just the same as any other person in this Commonwealth. I don't care what your background is, where you come from, what your job is. I'm no different than anyone else. And, I really felt that was a really great compliment because he felt that some people that run for office are not approachable. I am for the people. I want to make sure that, that I'm one of those judges that people can trust and that I'm transparent and I do what's right in every single case.
Appreciate it. Maria Batista, you come back anytime you'd like to restate your case. We appreciate you coming on with us today.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Maria Batista, our candidate for Superior Court here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We've got to get people out to vote for you. We'll try to make sure that happens on our end. But again, you are welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much, Bob.
All right, Maria Batista. We'll take a break. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Johnny Otis Show. That's the name of the band, Murph says. They moved into the top 10 charts at number 9 with their hit Willie and the Hand Jive. This date, 1958. Mr. Paul texts in. He says, not just the underlings. He emphasizing what I was talking about and what we played to start the show. It wasn't just the underlings. By the way, the only reason I don't include Obama so much in all of this is because he'll have presidential immunity. And nobody's going to prosecute him anyway. But he was the guy. As Mr. Paul points out, Obama directed and greenlit this whole conspiracy. Biden was the first major Dem to take the scheme public and inject it into the media. Obama had been briefed about the intelligence intercepts of the Clinton plan, because remember that the DNC and Hillary were hacked by the Russians because of their stupidity and her using a personal server. Anyway, the intelligence intercepts of the Clinton plan to hang the Russia single on Trump. Instead of investigating that, they decided to join in on the idea. So when they were presented with the Steele dossier, which they had been forewarned was dubious and then later found out was false, and that was compiled by the Hillary Clinton campaign, which lied about it, by the way. They said Perkins Coie hired them. Well, you hired Perkins Coie to hire them. Slime. They lied to the FISA court, meaning the FBI, multiple times to keep the story going. And this is what was verified by the declassification of what they call the Durham Appendix. That's what Tulsi Gabbard released. The information in the intercepts actually happened. Either the Russians were fortune tellers, Mr. Paul says, or the info was legit. Intercepted email said Hillary had okayed a plan and would reach out to Joe Biden to be the messenger to the media. As Mr. Paul says, well, son of a bitch. 24 hours later, there was Biden doing just that, saying that Trump was a Russian stooge and would be dangerous to the country. It's really incredible. Scary stuff. And this is what they did in office with the power of the presidency. As one of our listeners points out, I think it's Joe from 40 Fort. He says the Russian collusion lie should be exposed. Russia annexed Crimea, Georgia, and Ukraine under 2 different Democrat presidents. Yep. Hillary sold them uranium, enabled Putin's pipeline, and Obama asked Medvedev for more time so he could have more flexibility after his election. Somebody point out, asking the question about Sergei's, if you're younger, you said how young. Here's the now, I'm 64. In my mind, I'm 24, maybe even 18. I can't tell how old people are anymore. I really can't. I don't even hazard a guess. Are you in your 20s, your 30s? I really don't know. It's. Let me say this. I've been down there and stayed and have not been uncomfortable, like, oh my God, they're so young. But it's 20-somethings, 30-somethings, some 40-somethings. I'd be one of the older people there, but not the oldest. It's a great mix at Sergei's. So I don't know. Somebody texts in. You and people like you are the problem with politics. You have a show where you call out one-sided lies and excuse the others. Like what? Well, here's the example. Trump just fired the labor secretary. Well, first of all, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. See, you're another one of these people that only hears what they want to hear. And as soon as you hear a criticism of the Democrats, you just tune out and don't even listen to what it is. I don't understand the mentality. I truly don't. He didn't fire the labor secretary. He fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which keeps screwing up the jobs reports. The same head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, a Biden appointee, who had to revise after Biden dropped out of the race, by the way, that 880-some thousand jobs were not reported or were over-reported, and they didn't exist. So you have monumental screw-up after screw-up. Well, what's the old Washington thing? Well, hey, that's the way it is. Trump doesn't play that game. Why can't anybody be fired in Washington for doing a crappy job? And the head of Bureau of Labor Statistics, not the Secretary of Labor, please know what you're talking about. Well, you can't. If you're for the Democrats, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just reacting emotionally and trying to grasp at straws. It's like if Biden did that, your head would explode. If Biden, which he should have done, he should have fired this person when they found out that they created 880,000 jobs that didn't exist. He should have fired them. But remember, he didn't fire the people who got 13 of our military personnel killed in Afghanistan. Crazy. So just keep in mind, while all this was going on, Hunter was taking millions from China as well. Yep. Exactamundo. Please tell me. See, they'll never argue specifics, and when they do, they're 100% wrong. I don't get it. I don't get it. Just call balls and strikes. That's all we do here. It's the Club for Common Sense for a reason. We call balls and strikes. I criticize Trump. I call the big, beautiful bill the big, mediocre bill. But that's all they could get. So I'm not understanding where you're coming from. I really am not. It's not about defending a team. Like, oh, I'm up for the Cleveland Browns. Well, no, that's not what it is. The country's at stake here. You probably think Biden did a good job as president. Oh, Lord, Lord, Lord. That's sad. All right, we got to go for the news. And because my Picardo watch tells me, and remember, they sell Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, Seiko. It's 10:04. Well, it's 10:04 now. We'll be back after the news. Great good morning, everyone. My Ricardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 10, 12, and 22 seconds here in the great Northeast this beautiful Monday, August 4th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great family of companies, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate this day, like Bob Doherty, Dunmore, Leonard Farber, Hunlock Creek, Joseph Bolin, Pittston, Elmer Spike Hanachak, Sturgis, Donald Schilling, Scranton, Kevin Hess, Berwick. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, where we promise you a sanctuary of sanity in a world where, the elites, the Democrat Party, and so many others have literally gone insane. Well, one of the things that drives you crazy is traffic. And my man Tyler Cornell's in the studio here to tell us we've got a little problem.
Yeah, I was surprised by it. But, bumper-to-bumper traffic due to the road work with a lane restriction on Interstate 81 northbound between exits 178, the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton International Airport, and 180 Music. But the backlog is already reaching past 176 in Pittston, basically right outside our door here. So I suggest finding an alternate route if you want to get on the PA Turnpike. That's much better. Looks like the anticipated end time is 2:30 this afternoon. So I would hope that it wouldn't be backed up all that way for 2 miles of road work that long, but that's what we're looking at right now. So.
And you know, it's funny, Tyler, when you're driving, like I'm coming and I'm on a deadline. I got to get here. And I'm driving down and I had a rubbernecking delay, which is more frustrating than anything because there was nothing happening. Well, now we've got something happening.
Those are some of the worst, though, the rubbernecking ones where it's just like you're like, oh, was there something happening? And then you get and you're like, why was I stuck like that the whole time? But
So 81 north, all the way up to Music.
Yeah, basically from Pittston all the way to Music. Yeah, it's not even like it's moving or anything. It looks like it's bumper to bumper at this point. So it's just kind of slow travel. So just take your time, or if you need to get somewhere fast, just find an alternate route. Like I said, PA Turnpike would probably be a little bit better if you're heading towards Music and Scranton. So.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much, Tyler.
No problem.
Keep us up to date. Anything changes, let us know.
Yeah,
all right?
Will do. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Well, it's Monday. Well, what does that mean? That means it's time for Monday Musings, silly. And it's time for his theme song, and it's time for John Perillo. John, how are you? Welcome back.
Well, I made it to my appointment, so I don't have any traffic issues out here.
Yeah. No traffic on the ranch, huh?
No. If the cows sometimes block the road, that's an issue. But anyway, hey, last week I mentioned my Jewish friend and his objections to what was going on in Gaza. And last week I told you how the Shia government in Iran understood their role as being responsible for bringing about the end times by destroying Israel, which they believe is a prerequisite for revealing the 12th Imam. But this week I wanted to try something different and present the other side of the argument. And now this isn't easy for me because I disagree with it. But my point here is that my friend is a smart guy, and I want us to understand the disagreement. And I would ask you to do just that for the next couple of minutes. Try to understand this other side. Don't concentrate on refuting the arguments. You have an entire show for that. But rather try to see that there is a different view here, okay? And I'm going to start this off with a bang. I'm going to quote something that he sent for me. And he says, quote, "You have asked me for 15 years why American Jews vote predominantly Democrat, the party of Rashida Tlaib and Zurhan Mandami. As an American Jew, I can take a few idiotic morons in this party, myself included. I only know one person in my extended family of 50-plus Jews that would vote Republican. I cannot envision any circumstance where I would ever vote for a Republican at any level of government ever again. I voted for Bush 41, Bush 43, donated to McCain in 2000 and 2008. But he goes on to say that the Republican Party has, quote, morphed into everything I loathe. And then he went into a bunch of things he blames the Republican Party for, and I won't list them here. But that's one hell of a statement, and it actually shook me up a bit. And again, that doesn't mean we have to agree with what he said, but we certainly should pay attention because something around half of the country agrees with him. And he might find it amusing to know that I've actually been accused of having Trump derangement syndrome on several occasions myself. But to pick just one area to explore in more detail, he sent me an article by Ezra Klein, who's a New York Times writer, and I wanted to use that as a jumping off point, along with his thoughts, to try to understand why my friend and the larger liberal Jewish vote should vote for Mandami and fail to support Israel and Gaza. And Klein talks about
and here's the other part about it is, when you vote Democrat, no matter, it doesn't matter what the rationale, you're voting for more government, power,
yeah.
And for a Jewish people to do that after what they've been through under government programs, not just by the way, the Holocaust, but government programs that go back centuries. I don't understand it. Yeah.
Well, let's explore that. I think it is important. I think Bob brings up a great point. Again, I'm not saying I agree with all these arguments. I'm saying that there is another side that we should look at. So Klein talks about the divide within the American Jewish community and how the idea that what's good for Israel was good for Jews is beginning to fray. And that's actually a pretty recent development between the concerns for humanitarian issues raised by Gaza and the fact that Mandami won the primary in New York City. And we've discussed as a city with 11% Jewish voters. And this was after he refused to condemn the phrase globalizing intifada, and then went on to say that if he were mayor, he would arrest the prime minister of Israel, Netanyahu, if he ever came to New York. These are significant positions, not just for Democrats in general, but for Jewish voters in particular. Now, for people like me, I was shocked by the Mandami win. Israel is kind of sacred to us older conservatives. And if a guy like Mamdani can win in New York City, a place that, as Klein points out, has probably more Jewish voters than any other city but Tel Aviv, then something has happened that we have to try to understand it. So younger Jewish voters see what's going on in Gaza and see a future apartheid state with Israel ruling over both that territory in the West Bank and anti-Jewish hatred just increasing everywhere else in the world. And let's please not dwell on how Hamas uses the suffering of people in Gaza to its advantage, and try to understand what my friend and the Jewish voters in New York are saying. In Klein's opinion, New York's Jewish commitment to liberalism is stronger than their commitment to Israel. And yes, even Klein admits that Mandami is an anti-Zionist, although he doesn't say the word anti-Semite. And I should point out that position, anti-Zionism, is hardly even controversial in the Democratic Party today. And I'm going to quote Mamdani here. I'm not comfortable supporting any state that has a hierarchy of citizenship based on the religion or anything else, end quote. Now, as a conservative, I hear this one way.
Except for Muslim countries. You know what I mean? There's such incredibly built-in contradictions in what these idiots say.
But as Bob says, as a conservative, I hear this one way. But my Jewish friend, he hears that as the very formula of the success of Jews in the United States. Outside of Israel, only the U.S. has allowed Jews to flourish because we don't discriminate against religions. But Jews are concerned that it's the Republican Party that is bringing back that discrimination. And in my friend's words, he says, and I'll quote him again, quote, tacit approval for white and Christian nationalism, end quote. As listeners, to the segment know, I see the foundation of our country to be based in Judeo-Christian values, which I suppose you could call Christian nationalism. But I think that the lesson for us who are trying to understand is that tone matters. And what my friend and other American Jews hear is something very different than what I think I'm saying. So something for me to keep in mind anyway during these segments. But there was another Jewish writer, a guy named Daniel May, and he said, quote, American Jews tend to think that our, and he means Jewish here, success in the United States is a product of the fact that the country does not define belonging according to ethnicity or religion. And Israel is, of course, based on the idea of a state representing a particular ethnic religious group, end quote. Well, yeah, it's true, right? So while Israel is more welcoming to non-Jews than the rest of the world is to Jews, it is still most certainly a Jewish country. And that's the very opposite of what Mr. May sees as the American dream, where being part of a particular religious or ethnic group is not necessary for success. Now, back to our understanding that the Iranian leaders see their role as bringing about the end times, the final battle that will destroy Israel and reveal the 12th Imam. Well, it turns out that especially since 10/7, many Israelis now believe the same thing about Iran. That seems reasonable to me. But there is only a minority, and one that is shrinking, in Israel that now supports a two-state solution. Again, for me, this is logical. But for my friend and his fellow Jewish Democrats, that's contrary to what they saw as the promise of the U.S., a place that wasn't created for this or that religious group. And they can't support the change in Israeli policy, and more importantly, I think, that change in attitude.
But again, they ignore, John, the fact that the Gazans and the people on the West Bank, they are not Palestinians. These Gazans in particular, they are self-governing already, and look at what they did with it.
Yeah, and again,
it's just pure stupidity by your friend. He's an idiot. He's a complete ass.
He's been my friend for 16 years. He's not an idiot. He disagrees with me vehemently.
No, he's an idiot. I promise you. I can tell you from a distance.
Well, I think their fear is that anti-Semitism, which, by the way, is by definition emotional and irrational, gets fueled by anti-Zionism, which you could consider to be rational. And I'm not saying that it is rational.
By the way, I am not one of those who ascribes to the belief that if you oppose Israeli policy, that you're anti-Jewish. I don't believe that at all.
Right. I think there is a split, though, among American Jews who see that kind of growing anti-Semitism and see it as something that draws them closer to Israel, clearly. But then there are those who feel that it's the anti-Semitism that's being fueled by Israeli actions. And it's not just American Jews who are saying this, by the way. Ehud Olmert, who is the former prime minister of Israel, said, and I'm going to quote him here, "We're not doing this due to the loss of control of any specific sector, not due to some disproportionate outburst by some soldiers in some unit. Yes, Israel is committing war crimes." That's the former prime minister of Israel. And again, let's please try to understand, not to argue this point of view, but rather to understand that this point of view exists, and we should understand that it exists. And these younger Jews have now begun to accept the term genocide for the Israeli operations in Gaza. And they were the ones who were willing to accept Mamdani for mayor of New York.
Well, that's pure stupidity, though. It truly is.
But I mean,
I can't credit them with any level of intelligence in their views with that position, genocide by the Israelis. It's insanity.
Yeah, and I think again, the purpose of this Monday Musings isn't to give you my line of reasoning. It's to try to give you this other side, right? And a large number of Jewish voters see this administration's attack on anti-Semitism as cover for attacks on the very institutions that made Jews successful in the U.S. And there's another writer, Klein quotes here, a guy named Landry, who said, and I'm going to quote him here, "The world where everybody gets a right-wing ethno-state is not going to be good for Jews, even if we get one." And in Landry's defense, historically, ethno-states haven't worked out well for Jews. Whether that's what's going on here is immaterial, but that's what my friend believes is going on, and that's what other Jews tend to believe what's going on. And you can compare that to what they believe is happening in New York, which they see as a place where all kinds of ethnic groups have a place, and where you can get a really good corned beef on almost any corner and see yarmulkes everywhere, which you cannot see in European cities, by the way. And then their position
the most liberal of them all.
But it has some logic to it, right?
The most liberal politics of them all is in
Yeah.
Europe, and it's the place of the greatest anti-Semitism outside the Arab world.
Yeah. I'll close this by saying, look, I disagree with my friend. And even with him being willing to share with me, I still have trouble understanding how he thinks the way he does. Just some of the objections that Bob just raised here, right? But again, the purpose of this piece is not to argue any point, but rather to make you understand that the different point of view exists, and that's one that we should try to understand regardless of whether we agree with it or not. And in that sense, I think that that tone matters. And if you've listened to me in the past in these pieces, that I can often be uncritically patriotic, my country, love it or leave it kind of thing. But in fairness to my friend, that's not really an American way of looking at things. Maybe instead I should be saying my country because you have the right to be wrong and still be my friend, right? And I've known this guy for 16 years. He's a very bright guy. He disagrees with me vehemently, and I think that there is the possibility that we can look at some people who disagree and at least try to understand where they're coming from, regardless of what we think.
Just this, John, help him across the street because he's detached from reality and truth and fact. Help him. Seriously, we love him. Help him across the street. Don't let him get run over by a bus that he won't see.
All right. Well, thank you again for having me on, and to your listeners.
Always.
I hope this was useful to you guys, and have a great weekend. I hope you get where you're going with the traffic out that way.
It helps me be amazed once again. Thank you, John.
Yes, sir.
Love it. Appreciate it.
Take care.
All
right. Bye-bye, guys.
It's time for us to take a break. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. We will return. Our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by John Basiliga and his incredible companies. That includes Eastern Roofing Systems, headquartered in Jessup, for commercial, institutional, and other roofing. They serve the entire Eastern Seaboard. And guess what? They bring all that expertise to you right here in Northeast Pennsylvania for your home or small business. Eastern Roofing Systems. Joseph Bolin, Pittston. We lost him July 25th. He was born in Kingston. Graduate of Central Catholic High School, class of 64. He attended LCCC. He proudly served his country in the U.S. Army. For most of his life, Joe worked as a car salesman, retiring from Motor World in 2007. He was 79 when he passed. He was a faithful member of St. Joseph Morello Parish of Pittston and attended Mass daily. Tragically, he was preceded in death by his son, Michael. Surviving, though, are his sons, Joseph and Stephen, his grandchildren, and his companion of over 30 years, Carol Casciani, with whom he resided in Pittston. Joseph Bolin. Elmer Hanachak. He was known as Spike. He was 95 when he died July 17th. He was from Sturgis. He was living at the Gino Murley Center at the time. His wife of 43 years was the late Betty Mackey. Preceded him in death back in 2000. Spike was born in Sturgis. He graduated from Archbald High School, class of 48. After high school, he enlisted in the United States Army, where he became a corporal in the Korean conflict. After his service was completed, he returned to the States and became employed at Tobyhanna Army Depot for 36 years. Elmer was committed member of the American Legion in Oliphant, the Disabled American Veteran Chapter in Dixon City, and the Shoppa Davy Post in Peckville. Member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and a member of the Sturgis Hose Company. He was a man of deep faith, belonging to Holy Ghost Church Oliphant. As a child, he walked from his homestead in Sturgis to Oliphant to attend school and daily mass. Even after retirement, Elmer attended daily mass at Sacred Heart of Jesus Parish. Surviving Spike, his daughter, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Sadly preceded in death by his wife, Betty, and tragically by his son, Jim. Elmer Spike Hanachak. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Storm Tracker 16 forecast meteorologist Joe Snedeker. He tells us today sunny with some haze, low humidity 85, 72 degrees outside the studio as I speak. Tonight clear, low 58. Tomorrow some sun and clouds 87. Wednesday sun and more clouds 85. Thursday spotty showers high 83. By the way, if you want to see the program and my smiling and alternatively scowling moon face, you go to WILKNewsRadio.com and you press watch. And I'll pop up there and I'll give you a wink. Hit it, Bulldog. Neil Sedaka. Murph tells us he moved from number 8 to number 2 with his hit, Breaking Up Is Hard to Do, this date, 1962. Where were you then? August 4th, Mother Teresa, St. Teresa. She says, until you hear Jesus in the silence of your heart, you will not be able to hear him saying, I thirst in the hearts of the poor. St. Teresa for today. She certainly heard Jesus and followed and did incredible work. Amazing stuff. Amazing. Mother Teresa. Hey, let's go to a friend of ours who's with us, Bob Bolus. Bob, how are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
I'm great.
Just thought I'd bring you up to date. Tomorrow is Sergeant William Ganoss Day in Lackawanna County. And this was done by the commissioners back in 17. And so you understand, Sergeant Ganoss is the Marine who filmed the flag raising on Mount Suribachi on Iwo Jima. And we see that iconic symbol to this day as we see the flag being raised. 3 days later, he went to a spider hole with 2 other Marines, was killed by the Japanese, and is still there. I've been to Iwo Jima 3 times, Mount Suribachi, and in the hopes of recovering his body. And I believe I've located the cave now. I'm just waiting to go back again.
Wow.
Hopefully I could get our government this time to do the job they should have did a long, long time ago and bring all our warriors home.
Bob, how's that name spelled?
Genaust.
Okay. Gnost. Okay. Amazing.
And
So
I
he was
stopped at
there
the
for the flag raising, huh? Man.
Yes, sir. It's the video you see. If you're watching a documentary tonight, for example, and you see the flag going up, picture him standing there with his camera.
Yeah. Amazing.
And that's the history that we have here in Lackawanna County. And because of my efforts to bring them here and what we're doing from out of our county, out of Scranton and all, by me and a few of the other people that were involved back at that time in the Times that actually wrote the story. They named tomorrow William Ganoss Day in Lackawanna County. And I thought, I said, geez, I better give you a call, let you bring you up to date on it with all the veterans.
That's great. I'm happy, and those are supposedly 1 year, tributes. But let's keep it going. I'm happy you do that, Bob.
Well, I'm keeping it going, and it's not going to stop.
Amen.
And if you go to the Marine Corps League here in Scranton, the flag that was flown over on Mount Suribachi, every year they do a flag raising. The flag that was raised there when I was there is sitting at the Marine Corps League, along with a tube of the sand that's visible to anybody with the sands of Iwo Jima in it.
Wow.
That I donated to them. So that history is here in Lackawanna County.
Nothing like the Marine Corps League up there on East Mountain.
They're great.
Fabulous.
I stopped there the other day to remind them about it. And the flag in the case is on display right at the counter with the sands of Iwo Jima in the tube.
How neat. Well, Bob, thanks for bringing this to our attention. Appreciate it very much.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully we could do something tomorrow in front of the courthouse or at the Marine Corps League to honor his memory of what he gave us.
Amen. Thank you, friend. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bobby.
All right. Bob Bolus on our Mount Suribachi hero from this area. We'll take a break and be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Lil Eva. Murph says she moved from number 14 to number 8 with her hit Locomotion. This date, 1962. And a good lead-in for our man, Donald from Pittston. How are you, Donald?
Oh, good to hear. Bob, the reason I'm calling you, there's this, okay, let's go to the theme
Yeah,
song.
you got to play your theme song. I want to come over. Yeah.
All right, so there's Steve Hilton. If he was a Fox News host, he's running for California governor.
Yes.
If you ever made an investment, I sent him some money. I'm going to probably send him $100. You only say I send him down, I send him 10, 20. He's running for governor because that's what happened when, if you know the history of California, you had Nixon, Reagan, and then you had Brown, and then they had that Gray Davis, and when Schwarzenegger was in there, everything was good, and then they had Brown. They brought this Brown back, and he started with all that garbage, liberal garbage again, with the transgenderism and everything, and Newsom continued it. But what happens in California usually sweeps the country.
Yeah.
And this guy's going to clean up the homeless. Yeah, he has a plan to do all that, which they never did, even with the wildfires and everything. So that's a very important race. His name's Steve Hilton. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I know. I've watched him. I used to watch his show.
Good.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
For
common sense policy.
For someone who's moved to this country and became an American citizen, he's an incredible patriot. Really great.
Oh, this guy'd be great. And what Schumer's doing is ridiculous. He's holding up he wants billions of dollars to confirm these nominees. That's insane. I don't know how he gets away with it. Sean Schumer, what he's doing. He's a disgrace, isn't he?
Oh, I despise him. He's as
as
phony as the day is long.
That's extortion, isn't it?
Virtually every position he has ever held, he has changed as the Democrat Party has gone lunatic. Yeah.
He's hurting the party by doing this stuff, by holding up all these nominations and stuff.
And he doesn't believe in anything except himself being in power. Yeah.
But I want to pass it on to you. That's the
Thank you.
important
Steve
race.
Hilton, California.
It's a great thing.
Bloomberg Money Minute now. We'll be back. Eric Burden and the Animals. Murph tells us this date, 1964, they released their hit, House of the Rising Sun. Bob Cordaro with you. My oldest brother, Mike, turned 68 yesterday. So he's golfing in I think they still call it the Jackman Tournament up at Glen Oak Country Club. Great place, by the way. But he celebrated his 68th birthday with 3 birdies and a round of 76. Now, he then points out John Tallarico, who was his partner, our friend from Carbondale area, he had an eagle and a 74. Their better ball score was 68, so Mike gave himself the birthday present. He drives for DePietro's Pharmacy now, which is great. He tells me a lot of the guys listen to the show while they're delivering, which is good. I don't want to get them fired up, but we do want to keep them informed. Yeah. Somebody texted in regarding the discharge of the person from Bureau of Labor Statistics. Don't worry, Bob. Trump will appoint a cult member to that position, and he will have the greatest jobs report ever. Trump didn't know Epstein. All the pics of him together are fake. He won the 2020 election. Anything I missed? Well, there's a cultist. You're the cultist. You don't even get it. That's the funny part. I love you, but you don't even understand it. You just give all the blue blah, 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 blah. And you're just in. By the way, somebody asked you, where is Sergey's in Scranton? It's at 519 Linden Street, right underneath the Sergey's is named lovingly after John Basiliga's father, who was big in the music business here in Northeast Pennsylvania and beyond. In fact, the piano player down at the Stegmeyer Mansion he was so good. And that's on Saturday night. And he said that John's father, Sergey, taught him. He taught him piano. Yeah. So in any event, Sergey's on downtown Scranton. You could find it. Just get down there, you'll find it. A lot of fun too. And depending on the night, I know Saturday night it was jammed. It was like you were in one of those television shows when they've got the rope line and everything and people coming in. It was really something. They brought out Anthony Calley at the door. So they went with the big guns on Saturday night at Sergey's. We went down the back and got in because I'm not waiting in a line to go anywhere, to be honest with you. Somebody said, Bob, there's a nice review in Sunday's Times Leader about the Atera 519. They said, great show as usual. Always appreciate the Veterans Tribute. So thanks to John Basiliga for all this and to me for bringing it forward. LTS back at you, Mountaintop. Back at you. So, yeah. So according to the cultists on the left, Trump can't fire someone who is in charge of an agency which created 880,000 phantom jobs that didn't exist in its reporting. Like they got one job to do. One job to do. Tell us how many people are working and how many people are not. They were 880,000 off. You're going to tell me this person can't be fired or shouldn't be? Biden should have fired him even though the error was in his favor. That means it really does mean you don't know what you're doing. But no, Trump can't fire me. He's an autocrat. I don't know. It's crazy stuff, man. It is crazy stuff. Hey, we got to take a break because it's news time. I looked at my Picardo Jewelers watch. It told me it was 11 o'clock and change. And I want to remind you, Picardos, It is your watch store. It's the watch store. Right on Jefferson Avenue and Spruce Street in Scranton. Can't miss it. Gorgeous store. Tremendous jewelry selection, too, by the way. But they've got Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, Seiko, and, of course, the watch I'm wearing, a Bicardo's watch. And it is the watch store. So they tell us the time, and it's 11:01 and change now. We'll be back after the news. Thank you, Levon. Great good morning, everyone. My Bacardi Jewelers watch tells me it's 11:09 and change here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Monday, August 4th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and his great family of companies, including Serenity Care, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we salute today, like Elmer, Spike, Hanachak, Sturgis, Joseph Bolin, Pittston, Robert Doherty, Dunmore, Leonard Farber, Humlock Creek, Donald Schilling, Scranton, and Kevin Hess, Berwick. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising a sanctuary of sanity for the balance of the hour. Where does the time go? By the way, I love when I get these texts on the veterans we're saluting. Thank you. That was my godfather, Spike. How about that? Spike Hanachak, Sturgis. And Sturgis is right near Oliphant, Blakely. Great little town. In any event, thank you thank you to your whole family for giving us somebody like Spike Hanachak. You got damn good genes. Am I allowed to say that? Maybe not today. By the way, somebody texted in because it is the tragic anniversary of Anne Frank being arrested with her sister, parents, and 4 others by the Gestapo in 1944. They were hiding for 2 years. Oh, they almost made it. And she left behind the Anne Frank diaries, but she was killed in a Nazi concentration camp. Somebody texted, do you know how crazy the left-wing Democrats are? They have posts comparing Trump's ICE agents deporting illegals to Nazis finding Anne Frank. These people are so depraved. That is a sick, sick human being who would create that post and then who would either post it or share it. That's sick. That's mental illness. Somebody else, Bob, I agree with the caller regarding Steve Hilton, who I just saw on my monitor. The governor's race in California could change our country's identity for decades to come. God, country, and good government. I don't think I don't think there's such a thing as good government. Because the human condition I agree with you on the point, but I don't think there's such a thing as good government. Because it's all fleeting. You have a benevolent hand on the till for a bit, and then it goes back to someone that's not. And people love power over other people, and they abuse it. That's the human condition. That's what happens. That's why we are against the growth of government. We are for the dramatic downsizing of government. Chuck from Carbondale says these Anne Frank type posts, that's called TDS. You're right, Chuck. Chuck from Carbondale. Bugzar says he's been busy. Sadly, when you have a percent of the country hoping for Trump and his economy to fail, it proves how totally sick they have become. He fails, we fail. Asinine isn't good enough for these fools. You're right. And then they love Joe Biden, who failed at everything he did, who undermined the very nature of our culture and country not only with the things he did with government, but the actions he did not take to protect our border. Intentionally so that they didn't lose any seats in Congress or state houses and in state senates in areas that have become governed by lunatic left Democrats. Whether it's Los Angeles, New York City, you name it. Illinois, New York State as a whole. Everywhere they govern, they're losing population. People that can move are moving. But see, they don't want any consequences for that. They want the same federal funds, they want the same state funds, and they want the same representation. Nuts. Hey, well, Jay Gillen's on the line. He's involved with and he's running the Tunnels to Towers golf tournament. How are you, Jay? Good to hear from you.
I'm doing well, Bob. Thank you for taking my call.
Tell us.
I just want to piggyback on your veterans, dedications. And a quick aside: nobody has a cool name like Spike anymore. So we go back to that.
Right? Spike Hanachak, love it.
Yeah. But I'll give a quick update. We're moving along. We're getting some really big, great sponsors. The Great Johnson College, Ivy Rehab, Burger King. I mean, Orlowski's Car Wash. People have just been great. The response has been phenomenal. We're getting filled up. We still have some teams available. So if they want to reach out to me,
Jay Gillen, tell us when this tournament is, where it is, the basics.
September 8th. All right, 9 o'clock check-in, 10 shotgun at the Blue Ridge Trail Golf Club, which is a great facility, great public course. So we're looking for sponsorships and reaching out to fire departments, any type of sponsorship, players. People want to donate. They don't golf. You want to donate a basket. We have a sponsorship available that you could pay for a first responder.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So like $125 a player, $500 for a foursome. If those numbers don't work, tell me. Make a deal. Let's make a deal. I just need people out there so we can get the money. And the money, quick, is going to be earmarked for homeless veterans housing that Tunnels to Tower is building in Harrisburg, right on Front Street.
Nice.
It's got a beautiful rendition of it on the t2t.org website. You can see what they're going to build. They're going to have a full spectrum of help, not just residents, but all sorts of other mental health, physical, so they become sustainable. You know what I mean? It's just not a quick fix. You give them a house and leave. So it's great foundation. We're going to have a great time. So I'm looking for everyone to come out and have a good time.
And the Tunnel to Towers, when they're involved, I mean, almost all the money goes to the veterans. It's that great of an organization. That's why it's neat to back up your golf tournament here. Give us the where and when again, and tell them how to contact you.
All right. It's going to be at the Blue Ridge Golf Club.
Great course.
September 8th. Okay, 10 o'clock shotgun. My phone number is 706-5075. I've got it with me all the time, 706-5075. Give me a call, ask any questions. I'll come meet people. I've got a lot of people calling me out of the blue. It's great. I love it.
Well, Jay, we appreciate you doing this for our veterans and for Tunnel to Towers. Make sure you keep calling in, okay?
I will, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you.
My friend. Jay Gillen, Tunnel to Towers Golf Tournament, September 8th, Blue Ridge Trail Golf Club. Great course. You'll have a good day, I promise it. We'll take a break. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. We will return. This date, 1965, Bob Dylan. Dilzo, he finished recording his album Highway 61 Revisited. Murph played Highway 61 Revisited. Well, more accurately, the Bulldog, Murph chose it. The Bulldog played it. Bob Cordaro back with you. Bill from Hazleton checking in. He said, who sings that song you play coming out of the top of the hour news and weather break? Well, it's Lee Von Helm. And we play it. My friend Mark Mayer sent it to me. And I'd never heard it before. And obviously, it's a great song. And so it's so completely appropriate. The battle is over, meaning the election. But the war goes on. This is what these people do. This is what they do. By the way, I'm watching a film of a MAGA fan. He wore a MAGA hat to a baseball game, and he got booted out in St. Louis. What's that all about? He looks like my nephew Rocco, actually. All right, let's go to Judy Zabel. And Judy, you've got this great Republican women's fundraiser coming up this week. Tell us about it, Judy. How are you?
I'm good, Bob. Thank you. Yes, Sunday morning at 11 o'clock at Glenmara Country Club, the Republican women are holding their annual fundraiser. And the tickets are $40 per each. If you'd like to sponsor, there are availability to sponsor a table. A full table is $1,000. You can sponsor at $500 or at $250. And we really want the community to be aware that we exist. I've had people tell me they didn't even know the Republican Party existed in this county. So we are trying to be active in the community. Many of our members are members of other organizations as well, so that there's exposure, in the community. And we have this great fundraiser. We're honoring Robin Medeiros and Kristen Nash. These are two ladies that have done an enormous amount for our party, for our women's group, and it's time that we say thank you to them. Stacy Garrity is going to be our speaker, and Stacy's a ball of fire if you've ever heard her speak.
Oh, we love her.
She's great.
Veteran, Commonwealth. She's the treasurer of the Commonwealth of PA. We love Stacy. We love her.
I wouldn't want to cross her.
And by the way, a great place to have an event. They're going to get $40 worth of food.
Yeah, for sure. At least.
Yeah, exactly.
And so come and congratulate Robin and Kristen, and enjoy our time with us. There will be a cash bar and breakfast or brunch.
This Sunday. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Judy. I appreciate you doing all of this and for letting the people know about it. We really, that's good stuff. This is the stuff that makes the difference when, especially in an election like this year, where we need to elect judicial candidates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and if you have any questions at all, the GOP office is being manned this year by my husband. And he is down there right now.
How about that?
To answer phones and help people with problems. We've helped several veterans who've called and said they couldn't get anywhere with the VA. Could somebody help? We've referred them to Congressman Bresnahan, to Senator McCormick, and they're getting help. And that's just great.
How do they call?
You would ask. I don't know the number down there, but they can call me at 570-280-4370. That's my cell phone. It's with me always.
280-4370.
Correct.
Great.
And I will then have the number of the office because I don't call it, so I don't know it.
Okay. Fair enough. You know how to find your husband if you have to, right?
Yes, I can find him.
Thank you so much, Judy. Appreciate it. All right.
Thanks, Bob.
Sunday, the big fundraiser, Republican Women's Group up at Glenmora. Great stuff. Mike from Bloomsburg, we'll go right to you, my man. How are you?
Okay, I'm doing good, Bob. Yourself?
Great.
Great. Hey, two quick questions. Number one, I think you've mentioned it on your show numerous times, but I don't know the name of the restaurant that plays the Star Spangled Banner National Anthem at noon. Do you know that, Bob?
You know, I don't know that. I never heard of that.
Yeah. I swear I heard it on your show, and I was at Walmart the other day, and the greeter guy checking the in and out there. He's an old guy, probably about 85 or something, and he was telling me that you stand up, everybody in the whole restaurant stands up at noon, and they play the national anthem somewhere up in there.
Well, you got to find out the name now. Now you have a job to do, Mike.
Oh, somebody out there is listening to me right now. They're going to call you.
I hope so.
The other thing, Bob, the intro that you had to your show today, that I'm telling you, that was fantastic. And for the people that didn't hear it, and I'm sure you have this in the top of your head, and just 2 sentences, just tell everybody what happened with those, basically, I would say, criminals that were employed by the federal government and what they did to this country.
Barack Obama and his highest henchman, particularly in the Intelligence Committee, Comey, the FBI, the CIA, conspired along with Hillary Clinton to create a narrative that Donald Trump was a Russian asset. They agreed with it. They spied on his campaign, and then they used it after that to undermine his presidency. It is one of the worst scandals ever.
Well, you know what? You're being generous when you call it a scandal, because that is the type of behavior that America's enemies do to this country. They are enemies of the state, as far as I'm concerned, and there has to be prosecution one way or another. And if this goes to stand that everything's okay, we just move on, that is a great step backward for this country, and it shows how weak and how far we have backslidden.
There's, despite last election, that's why we play that song. The battle is over, but the war goes on. These people aren't going away, and they're becoming more deranged, not less. And
right.
They say things like Israel is practicing genocide in Gaza. Israel's not allowing Gazans to be fed. They're just total, complete lies, and they just keep repeating and repeating and rinsing. It's unbelievable.
It really is, Bob. And is that?
Oh, by the way, somebody texted in, a bunch of people texted in Mission Barbecue.
Mission Barbecue. Well, Mary Jean and I'll be heading up there. We'll be
Mission Barbecue. Every day at 12 o'clock, everybody stands. And somebody said they stand. It's pretty wild, but it's very cool. Yeah, right. Mission Barbecue. Love it.
Mission Barbecue. Say it again. Okay.
And it's Joe Graziano down there. Like he's texting in. Oh,
that's why I remember that name. Yeah, because the guy it was an Italian name. He said, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Mission Barbecue. Bob, we love them.
Is that intro that you had today going to be on a podcast on Odyssey that I could pass around?
It should be. It should be. Great. Bulldog, is that Bulldog? Are our openings, that'll be on the podcast? Yeah, that'll be on the podcast.
That's fantastic. That's going out today.
Yeah, it's a series of clips that are just, it tells you what they're doing. And by the way, Mr. Paul, our executive producer, pointed out to me there was John Solomon, if you've ever heard of him. Just the News is his organization. He laid it out in lavender on a couple of different shows, and it was longer than I could play, but he just nails it, and it's fact, dates, everything. It's so check John Solomon out also.
Will do. It's absolutely insidious. You know, it really is. And I had a great week, a great weekend, and I turned on the radio at 9 o'clock, and I heard that, and it just put me right in the tank listening to that. I mean, that is how bad it is. Horrible, Bob. It's just horrible.
Well, I'm telling you, John Solomon, and here it is. Mr. Paul has sent it to me. 23 minutes, and he was on with Glenn Beck on Friday, and he laid it all out after the release of the Durham Report appendix.
Listen,
it's crazy
To
stuff.
that. I'll give that a chance. You know what? I was going to say I'm going to listen to it when I'm going to bed. I don't want to do that. I'll wake up with
be able to
nightmares.
sleep.
Oh, Lordy. Hey, listen, great talking to you, Bob. Have a good week.
All right, my man. Always a pleasure, Mike. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Mike Picardo Jewelers Watch says it's 11:34. Let's hear from our great sponsors. We'll come back. We'll do a Veterans Tribute, the weather, and then we'll hear from you at 570-883-0098. Mission Barbecue. They'll be having the Pledge of Allegiance noon today. Our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our man John Basiliga and his great companies. What's one of them? Well, Serenity Care, personal care facilities serving the senior community. Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston, all completely remodeled and accepting new residents, dementia units at Mid-Valley and Kingston, the gold standard in senior care, Serenity Care. What is a veteran? You ask, why do we play? First of all, because that's so touching by Sam Elliott reading that letter from an Omaha Beach veteran. But I point out it applies to all veterans. Justice is written in stone at the Bloomsburg VFW. What is a veteran? A veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserved, is someone who, at one point in his or her life, wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America for an amount of up to and including his or her life. That is honor, and there are way too many people in this country who no longer understand that fact. Just remember it. We won't forget it here. Donald Schilling. He died July 19th at the age of 89. He was from Scranton. Don was a beloved father, grandfather, brother, and friend. He's survived by his 4 children, 11 cherished grandchildren, and 12 great-grandchildren. Born in Heathville, PA, 1936, Don served this country honorably in the U.S. Navy during the 1950s before becoming a dedicated entrepreneur. He was known for his strong work ethic, deep love for family, and signature comedic dad jokes. He continued working well into his early 80s, always keeping his hands and his heart busy. In retirement, he found joy in landscaping, spending time outdoors, sharing a story or fixing something and making others laugh. Donald Schilling. Kevin Hess, avid outdoorsman, loved hunting and fishing. He was from Berwick. He was just 67 when we lost him July 20. Born in Berwick, graduate of Berwick Area's high school, class of 75. He proudly served us in the Army National Guard. He was a faithful member of the Sunshine Full Gospel Church, Shikshinny, an avid outdoorsman, a member of the Susquehanna Valley Beagle Club, and a lifetime member of the Pennsylvania State Archery Association. He also was a member of the Berwick Archery Club. Loved his hunting, fishing, and the outdoors. Surviving Kevin, his fiancée, Catherine Welch, a brother, cousins, and other family members. He was preceded in death by his wife, his first wife of 16 years, Rachel Derby. We lost her in 2019. Kevin Hess, our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Serenity Care. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, sunny with some haze. Low humidity, high 85, 77 degrees outside the studios as I relate all of this to you. Tonight, clear and low of 58. Tomorrow, some sun and clouds, 87. Wednesday, sun and more clouds, 85. Thursday, spotty showers, 83 degrees. We're back. Bob Cordaro, WILK. The eponymous program rolls on. Babylon Bee out today. They've got a picture of Adolf Hitler posing. It says, Adolf Hitler has great genes. Historians uncover Hitler genes ad from 1942. Now, for the party and the crowd that carries on about cultural appropriation, they have a black woman, probably a lesbian too, who's playing Jesus Christ in Jesus Christ Superstar now. And it's like, well, by the way, going back to the jeans ad, they had no problem with Dylan Mulvaney doing beer commercials. These people are out of their minds. Now, what basis, on what basis, seriously, this is not misogynist. Why can't you have a man of any color? See, they've got to go all the way. Play Jesus. If Jesus was Semitic, he would probably have dark skin. But that's not good enough, though. Just, you can't make up who these people are. Pelosi vehemently denies insider trading. She says her husband takes care of all that. Oh, Lord. The Hitler jeans ad, though. I mean, it's hilarious. You got to see the picture of him. Anyway. Somebody said, LTS, I wish you'd get Trump on your show. I would call in to tell him how many people support him in this area. You, Bob, have done much to help his campaign locally. I really wish he would call in. How awesome that would be. Well, see, I don't ask anybody to come on the show. I accept a lot of the people who ask to be on the show, but I don't seek guests. Because part of the reason is you are the guests. What you think is important. And if somebody wants to share something with this audience, they are more than welcome at any level, as you can tell. Hey, by the way, somebody said yesterday at St. Anne's, a beautiful, beautiful car show, half dozen people at least from where I could see didn't take their hat off during the national anthem. Come on. They do it at Mission Barbecue. We'll be back. I had to wait till they said that. Louie. The Stories. They moved from number 20 to number 8 with their hit Brother Louie. Never knew the name of that song. Murph knows all. August 4th, 1973 as we... By the way, Mark from Hazelwood pointing out it's Barack Obama's birthday today. Well, Barack, you were a disaster. But happy birthday anyway. Oh, Lord. Somebody says, Bob, there's still just a lot of talk out of the Trump administration. I'm not seeing anyone in handcuffs. We are not winning until I see people in handcuffs. I don't agree with you there. Exposing these people is a big deal and an important deal. I don't anticipate, well, maybe a Brennan, because he lied to Congress repeatedly. And he's a scumbag on top of that. He's just a liberal, he's a disgusting human being. And he's been in the upper reaches of government forever. He is the epitome of the swamp. Ugh. I would love at least one of them to be brought on for an example. But you have to remember, these people, when they break the law, they are preparing their cover-up at that moment. They don't just do these things willy-nilly. By the way, we're finishing with Louis Satchmo Armstrong, because he was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. This date, 1901. He died in New York City, July 6, 1971, a month shy of his 70th birthday. Oh, when the Saints come in to wrap it up today. Yeah. Going back to that point, I'd love to have Trump on the show at some point. But we're not asking. They could ask us, and we'll do it. Hey, by the way, my friend Paul texted into me. He said they had Mission Barbecue created their daughter's graduation party. And it was amazing food, Mission Barbecue. And by the way, I could never get there at noon because I got to finish the show. But, man, the national anthem, how great is that? Tom from Dallas says, Bob, my grandfather would smack the back of my head almost to the point your hat would fall off if you had it on while eating. I can only imagine what he would do to someone who didn't take their hat off during the national anthem. I know. We need Tony Soprano to run around. He's got that famous scene. Somebody says, maybe we should arrest Obama on his birthday. And someone else agreeing with me. Exposing them and removing them from their positions is winning enough. It really is. And they're not going away. And they've still got the left-wing media to pay them and put them on their shows as though they're experts, to have them come on and lie, not only about what they did, but what Trump's doing. It's brutal. But it's what is. Crazy stuff. Well, we want to thank John Basiliga for sponsoring our Veterans Tribute today. And let's mention our guys one more time. A bunch of people texted in and called in about Elmer Spike Hanachak, Sturgis, Joseph Bolin, Pittston, Bob Doherty, Dunmore, Leonard Farber, Hunlock Creek, Donald Schilling, Scranton, and Kevin Hess, Berwick. Our great veterans, we thank them. We thank their families. And we couldn't have gotten where we are without you. I promise you. All right, top of the hour coming up. I look at my sweep hand. I've got a conventional watch. And it tells me It's 11:59 and 30 seconds. So that means we got to go. The Sue Henry Show is next. The Rob O'Donnell Show after that. So they'll keep you informed the rest of the day. God willing, I'll be back with you tomorrow morning, but only if God is willing. Have a great afternoon, guys. But for now, we must say adios and gavel to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense.